Hi everyone, I'm Deirdre Breakenridge, CEO of Pure Performance Communications. Welcome to the Nasdaq PR Influencer Series. We're live at MarketSite in Times Square, and joining me in the studio is Steve Cody. He's the CEO of Peppercomm. Hi Steve, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure, thanks for having me.
All right, are you ready to talk about how to analyze PR trends?
Let's roll.
Excellent. Okay, so when I was doing some homework, I was kind of Googling you. One of the first things that came up was on your Repman blog, you had some of your leaders talking about gamification,
Sure.
cause-related, experiential, brand moments. What do we need to know about these trends? How important are they?
Well, yeah. Thank you for reading my blog. You're one of three in the known universe who read it. But it's all part of the whole in terms of connecting with the new consumer. And I read research that you and I and all humans have the attention span of a goldfish, 8 seconds. So
Correct.
Brands have 8 seconds to make a connection. So the key here is learning and understanding which channel within the omni-channel world in which we live is most appropriate to reach the target audience. So that's why we've morphed into so much more than a traditional public relations firm, and we have experiential, and sometimes it's cause, and sometimes it's augmented reality, gamification. They're all different ways in which to reach the target audience, but first you have to get into the mind of the target audience. So we start with the audience in mind. We see ourselves as kind of a liaison or a traffic cop, if you will, between the audience and the client, and connecting the two and making sure they don't smack head on or pass each other by.
Oh, that's really good. So getting into the mind of the consumer,
Yeah.
what role does social media monitoring play in understanding their needs and
Sure.
what they expect from their brand?
Well, it's one part of a larger whole. So, everyone's talking about big data. Big data is great if you can answer the question, so what? It's a lot of stuff. So we're much more into small data. So we try to go very deep with understanding the target audience mindset. And we also stress qualitative research. It's so much more intense, and you're able to ask the question, why? Why are you considering this product? Why now? Why this price point? So we do both. We think both are critical in terms of getting into the consumer, or whatever the consumer is, CFO, mom of two, millennial. And then critically, we do something that very few firms do. We put ourselves in the shoes of the client's audience and experience the brand from the outside in. So we try to understand if the value proposition actually is fulfilled. Are you experiencing what the brand is promising? The classic misconnect or disconnect is United Airlines. Fly the friendly skies, what's the actual experience? Polar opposite. So getting into that mindset, understanding the customer mindset, and then understanding the journey that he or she takes towards purchase is all part of what we do.
Right. So, and
social media is one part of that.
Absolutely. What about, so there, you mentioned the data.
Yeah.
There's so much intelligence that we have at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Once we gather that, then what? How do we advance? What do we do with it?
It's interesting. We just did a co-branded survey with the Institute for Public Relations.
Yes.
And yours truly interviewed 22 or 23 different chief communications officers and chief marketing officers. And they said they take all the big data. Again, they try to come up with the so what, what's the insight there. They'll do the qualitative research. They'll put the two together, but they'll also rely on their gut instincts. So the best communicators take the best insights and then, based upon their experience, roll the dice this way or roll the dice that way. So it's both art and science. It really is. And the very best communicators have the combination of both.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on that art and science, but I want to back up because you talked about the feelings and the why. So do you think it's important for professionals to be looking at the social sciences, psychology,
No question.
sociology?
Absolutely. Some of the best strategic consulting firms in the world have had, anthropologists, ethnographers, social behavioral experts for quite some time. We have several freelancers that do that ethnography and do some of the behavioral sciences for us. It's critical because you really need to, again, understand what is the Pavlovian response, if you will. What is that nugget that will elicit the response, the desired response, so that that customer continues on his or her journey towards purchase. And purchase could be anything. It could be, a consumer product, or it could be hiring one of the big four accounting firms.
Right. So do you think the art and science, which you brought up, when you look at your agencies and the brands that you're working with, is the push more for the art and the storytelling, the creative and the sizzle, or is it more toward show us the value that you're bringing to our brands?
It depends upon each client. They're like snowflakes. Every client is different. So all want bottom line business results. All look to us to help them solve business problems. So if art is a means to an end, great. And storytelling, compelling storytelling that will engage, entertain, inform, if that's the way to get to bottom line sales, then absolutely. But the art is great and storytelling is critical, but our clients are bottom line focused, and that's how they're judged, the ROI on their investment in the agency.
Right. So without the bottom line focus, you could have all the art you want.
It's not about winning, awards at Cannes. It's about helping a client increase sales by 2, 3, 5%. Or a lot of our clients are at what we call an inflection point. So their target base that's kept them afloat for years are my age and are aging out, and they now have to become relevant to a whole new audience, the millennials, the Gen Xers. So how do you balance the two from a communication standpoint? How do you stay relevant to your core while trying to figure out how to engage with the 25-year-old? Across consumer, business, even manufacturing, and gender as well. Manufacturing companies, how do you become relevant and attractive and attract more women to manufacturing? So every company that we work with is at some point of inflection, change. It's fascinating, really.
It really is fascinating. Let's talk a little bit about your agency and technology.
Okay.
So is technology centralized to a particular area, or is technology across the entire agency where everybody's kind of hands-on?
It's both. So we have a technology group, all of whom bring different disciplines to bear, from the data analytics to the research to the behavioral science to the customer journey mapping, the customer experience. And so they are working on various accounts across the board, and they are constantly upgrading their technology, their knowledge base, et cetera. So it's both a group and it goes pan-agency. So it's kind of like the early days of social media, when different agencies would have just a social media group, and then finally they figured out, well, we shouldn't have social media, it should be embedded in all of our accounts. So that's where we're at right now. We have the experts, but it's embedded in all of our accounts.
That's great. Everybody kind of is hands-on. How hard or easy was that to do?
It's an ongoing, it's a work of art, if you will, because left brain, right brain people, and getting them together culturally. And that's why we use stand-up comedy.
Oh, I love it.
We use stand-up comedy. You cannot work at Peppercomm unless you undergo stand-up training, improvisational training, because we think, it helps with presentation skills, but more importantly, it breaks down barriers and silos between people, and they get to know each other in whole new ways. And they're in a room, an actual comedy room, and they're performing in front of one another, so they're pulling for one another to succeed, and that transforms directly to the marketplace. So comedy's been a big part of our knocking down silos over the years.
It's really interesting. Are you doing the training, or you have outside folks?
We have a professional comedian who doubles as our chief comedy officer, who does the actual training, and we do it midday at a comedy store, like the Broadway Comedy Club or something like that. And each one of our employees will get up and do 5 minutes of comedy, and they love it.
That's great.
They're like
how could you not?
Well, they're like deer in the headlight beforehand, but then they come back, all pumped up. And after you've done something like that, going into a new business presentation or a client presentation doesn't seem, or giving a speech, doesn't seem quite as daunting as it once did.
Absolutely, and they're all connected because of this, as you mentioned, the culture.
Yeah, they've all, we use when you perform comedy in front of an audience, you're naked in front of that audience. It's up to you to entertain them, and they've paid money to see you, so you feel obligated. So when we train them, they kind of feel obligated to make each other laugh and learn new things about one another, and that transfers directly to the workplace, which is a beautiful thing.
Unique, very unique. Okay, so how about you give some game-changing advice, and I do want to say congratulations because I read that you're among the 50 game changers in PR put out by PR News.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So what's some game-changing experience to professionals?
Well, again, it's all about trying to stay one step ahead. So trend spotting is absolutely critical. So it's absolutely critical that you include really cutting-edge daily information sources. So I subscribe to the WOMA, Word of Mouth Marketing Association, their daily newsletter. I download that. I look at Vice. I look at the Skim. I look at the Wall Street Journal's CMO column so I can understand what's keeping CMOs up at night. It's fundamental that you understand, from an agency standpoint, what is keeping the client or the customer, whatever, up at night, so that you can start to anticipate what they might be asking for down the road, and you know what to ask for in meetings. Have you considered this? Have you considered that? Your direct competitor is doing X. Have you ever considered that? Over in Berlin, there's a company that does something in your space that we think would be highly applicable. We think you'd have to put your special sauce on it, but you must be a news junkie, and you must be a news junkie in terms of understanding what are the latest trends, what's working, what's not working, how not to be Diet Pepsi and Kendall Jenner, how to be the Dallas Zoo and the swimming gorilla. I don't know if you saw that viral or not, but that was pure brilliance. So, and it's also taking advantage of opportunities like today. So today is 7-Eleven. So 7-Eleven is giving away Slurpees for free, right?
There you go.
And Amazon Prime, because the numbers 7 and 11 are Prime numbers.
Right.
All the Amazon Prime members are getting special upgrades, et cetera, et cetera. So you can have a brand moment every single day if you're conscious of what's going on and you're anticipating one step ahead. Easier said than done.
That's right. News and brand moments. Steve, thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you and Peppercomm?
Well, at our website, obviously, www.peppercomm, that's 2 M's at the end, .com. And they'll find out not only about my comedy, but my mountain climbing experiences as well.
And they should check out the Repman blog.
The Repman blog, if they like, it's repmanblog.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing
my
your
pleasure.
advice.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you for tuning in to Nasdaq's PR Influencer Series. I'm Deirdre Breakenridge signing off for now, but stay tuned for more from Nasdaq.